Good afternoon, all. Hope I'm audible and my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Right. So today, before I just go to the regular session, so let me just showcase you one small demonstration of building this Android application with a UI. Okay. So I've just created this small application here. This application, nothing to do, just we are just performing a simple calculation now. Okay, so that means it will take two inputs, right? And there are three buttons I have given, four buttons, so addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And one text view is given so that it can show the results to us, that is. Okay, so let me just show you this activity. Okay, so you can see this, right? So I hope it is visible. So you can see this, right? So this is text, right? So you can see this. So what we have done is that this can be done in two ways, right? So just a simple thing that just create the text views. We have a palettes, go for it, and just select them, right? So if you just go with a design, only design, so then you have all the attributes or the palettes which are there, so that you can select them what you want, right? So if you don't want, you just ignore them, or okay, so you just drag and drop certain things which you can do it, right? Other than that, so what we will do is that we'll just go with a coding, right? So that you're getting an XML code for it. So this entire layout was a constraint layout. So initially, so but what we did is we just changed them to a linear layout. Okay, so everything remains same. So nothing is changed over there. Only thing is that this shows what is this main activity. So that means when you start, it's going to be starting with this one single activity, which is a main. So to the edit text, which are told, right? So which is for the edit text, so that the when you give this, it will automatically ask you the width and the height. So we have given that match to parent and match to the content. And then we have to create an ID for that, so which is bet_a, right? And a hint can be given, enter the value of a or e, whatever the text you display here, that will be shown on the screen. Okay, similarly one more is created for entering the value of b. And then one more linear layout we have given, where in that all the buttons we have created. So the button, and then you'll have ID for that, and the text will be addition. Okay, similarly subtraction, multiplication, and division. And then we have created one more linear layer, one more text view below that, which is text view to show the results. Okay, so this, so which you can see here, the four buttons and the result, so that when you press this button, so the result should be appeared here. So this is a simple UI design what we have done here. So now let us go to the main activity, what is done there. Okay, so first thing is that since we have all these design elements which is there on the screen, for all of them we have to create a variables. Okay, so we have used Kotlin here, so for that as a language. So let enable btn button add, so it's a type of button. And then subtraction, it is a button, multiply is a button, and division is a button. So four buttons are there, so that they have created as a type of it. And then two text views, edit text we have created, eta and etb. And then one is for a text view, that is result text view. Okay, so that variables are created. Now what we have to do, we have to link those things to like the logic. So for that, so btn add is equal to find view by id. That means we are giving a reference to that through the id, and we are just adding that to this button, so that when I perform or when I select that button, what should happen, so that linking is done. Okay, so what all these things are done, so then we have created four methods. That means when I click this button, what should happen, that means I'll be doing an operation set on click listener. Set on click listener, that means when you click that, listen to that what it should do. So it's a method. So when you click that, okay, so what we have done, Kotlin doesn't support this switch case. We are using a if statements. Okay, simple if statements are there. So there we have created two variables, variable A and variable B. Whatever the value we enter from the text field, so that will be assigned and taken and converted to string and then converted to double value. Okay, so say example I have entered 5, so it will be 5.0. Okay, so like that it will be converting to double and stores the value in A and B. So resultant variables is created, variable result is equal to 0.0. So since it is a double. Now, where the v is a variable, okay, with the id, that means we are just referring to that buttons, right? When you click that, what should happen? Okay, so r.id.button add, if you click this, so then you should perform the addition a plus b. That result will be stored in result. When you click the button of subtraction, so it should be subtraction should be carried out a minus b. When you click star, so multiplication should be done. When you click slash, the division should be done. So the result will be there and the result has to be displayed in the place where we have a text view. So for that, result tv, that's a variable name or the reference dot text is equal to result is, then just replace that dollar result by the value what we are going to get from this. Okay, simple that. Okay, so we have just have a main activity which is app compared activity activity, and we also set this view dot on click listener. Okay, otherwise we have to set the on click listener for everyone, so therefore we are just using that view dot on click listener. Now what we do, simple, we are running the application. Okay, it will take time, Gradle build running. Okay, so you can see that once it's successful, it shows that the Gradle build successful by with this amount of time. So maybe sometimes it happens very fast within a minute, or sometimes it may take little extra time also. It takes time. Okay, so that it takes time. So okay, see, Gradle build finished in 2 minutes 30 seconds. Now launching on devices. Okay, so the application will be stored will be installed here, and then it will be launched. So installation is also successful, and it's going to be launching it now. Yeah, see, application started. It is getting starting. Yeah. So now see that there are text fields, right? So when you click this, it will ask me to enter the value. So take it type. Now say example, I just say 67. Have entered. Okay, 65. Now let me enter 37. Okay. Now two inputs are given. Let's say now if I say press button, addition, right? Result is 102.0. Subtraction 28. Multiply 2405. Divide 1.7567. So it just does this. Okay. So this is how the entire things is going to work. Just for your reference, for to understand about how this user interface can be created. Okay, and just work on this. Okay, so this is for today's one demonstration. Later on we will see the other demonstration. Okay, so okay, so today we'll be talking about the intents and the broadcast. So where we'll talk about introducing the intents, creating intent filters and broadcast receivers. So the last class, just we proceed for the today's content. So the what let's just revise what we did. So we have discussed that the Android is a system driven. Okay, so there will be no single bean, so that it can have OS starts components based on the events. Okay, that means when it is triggered, or maybe by clicking something, or maybe with a request. The manifest matters. So Android manifest.xml defines the application identity. So that will be, we don't edit much on that because that will be defaultly present. Only certain cases where we are creating multiple activities and we have to inform that these activities exist, so that we may have to add them periodically whenever we are just doing it. So other than that, that will just act as a bridge between your operating system and your application. At the same time, life cycle is OS controlled. So where the whenever these activities or certain functionalities are carried out, right? So we have to ensure that they will be used, they can be paused, they should be stopped, destroyed, or recreated. So UI should display the data, not the to store or import the or any important data over there. It is only to pick and display on the screen. So there are different patterns will be followed, where it could be top-down view, top level view, or it could be detailed view. So top level view, main entry of the screen will be choices, and where you have detailed view, deeper information about a selected item. Okay. So UI building blocks, where we go with the view group, and the layout. So view is a single element. So it could be any part of that, which could be a small icon, or it could be a folder, whatever it is. So that will be, so it could be text view or button, or the anything as such. And view groups, so container that arranges the views, so how it has to be displayed and placed over them. Okay. So layout view group specialized into propose positions different with a different views. So it could be linear layout or constraint layout. The size and the spacing, again, we will be using these two things, match parent and the wrap content. So according to the size of the screen, it will try to adjust as much as possible. But still, again, there could be some constraint that they cannot be placed uh, things like. Okay. So we just go with a match parent and wrap content. So they'll be doing a padding. So in order to fix the screen dimension to the available dimension of your phone, right? Or it could be the margins which is there, which is outside or internal. Jetpack Compose where we had the UI as Kotlin functions, so no XMLs, UI and behavior and the live together. Core component, the compose ideas are like composable functions, build screens, so the column or the row arrange UI, like a linear layout. So it could be modifier which is used to control the sizes or the spacing or the padding or the position, right? So where how this has to be appear. State in compose, so which could be the. Just a minute. So, yeah. Okay. So so Jetpack Compose will come with various the built-in ideas so that it will be used exclusively in the Kotlin. It is not an XML thing, so it will be purely for a programming purpose. So UI and behavior live together, so that they'll become the ideas are the functions which will be said to be composable, which is going to build the screens. Right? So rather than doing through the XML, so that we can do them directly on the coding itself. So that is what the main intention behind this. Okay. So where you can arrange the elements in the order, right? It will be the linear layout or something. Its modifier controls the sizes of them, the spacing, or even the positioning of them. So right. So which where it could be allocating the space for each of them, like how much DP or the things like. State is in Composer. Remember, where it could be the objects could be mutable state of an object, so it's going to store the UI state, and recomposition redraws the UI automatically when the state changes. The key rule is that the UI is always set to be the function, which is going to be performing where data should live, right? So the real application, so that UI only shows the data, just sends the events which is happening or triggered as a notification. So important data belongs to view model or repository of the database, and it will be a unidirectional data flow. So data to UI and events from UI. Okay. So fragments will be the thing where you want just start it. So part of a screen runs inside an activity. So helps modular or reusable UI. Compose often replaces this with a composable activity or the fragment they still host. So record lectures, you are supposed to please go through this. It is very important for you so that you have. So then let's start with intent. So what is an intent? So intent is something which is going to initiate your action, and it is something like a messaging to different activities. Okay. So I want to show a photo, right? So which is that? So to view that, I may have a different applications to select that. Okay. So that photo, say example, when you open a photo on your system, right? So it just it asks you open with what. So many of the applications are there. It's going to open it. Whether you want to open through the photo editor or Paint or something like so. Similar to that, a proper application can choose this intent to respond. Okay. So is an Android message object used to request an action from the system or another application component? Okay. So what an intent can do, so it's going to navigate from one activity to other activity, or it can start a service, so which is going to run in the background. Okay, it could be a application service, or it could be a system service, or anything else. Deliver events or notifications, which could be broadcasted to everything in the system, so that whichever is applicable, so they will get to know. So common intent usages, so open a new screen with an application, or opening a website in a browser, or sharing text or files with another application, so triggering system actions, right? So where you can dial it, or you can use a Google Maps, or it could be settings, right? So intents are the standard mechanism for communication between Android components and its the application. So you choose the application screen, so that Android chooses find the best application for you to run it or to open that. So there are two types of intents are there. One is explicit, the other one is implicit. Explicit intent is used to navigate between the activities in the same application, where implicit intents are used to navigate from one application to another application, or opening a different activity or different application itself together. So an explicit intent is used when the destination screen is known in advance. Okay. So that means maybe say two activities are there. I just want to go there, right? So that you can say intent is equal to intent from this to a del activity class.java. That means a known activity. So then start activity with a specific intent. So that is simple thing. So sender main activity. So that intent of this dial activity with a that means second the another activities a link I'm just specifying. Now, what is a message? Intent.put extra, the message, hello from main activity. So that can be carried from one activity to another activity, and you just start activity. At the receiver end, I'll have one variable created called as a message, and whatever the message I'm getting, that will be intent.get string extra from the variable name called as message. Hello from main activity will be copied to message. So data is sent as a key value pair, and keys must match on sender and the receiver. So which is a key here and then? So the key is this. Okay, sender as a key, receiver also referring to the same key. If these two are matching, then the data will be exchanged. So implicit intent, the letter Android decide your application request, right? So the view data or data, and so then it can be that. So Android system, then it will say to where to open. Say through web browser you want to open, or through an application, or where you wanted to open. So intent is equal to intent with a view of that. So intent.action view, then I'm going to specify the URL link. Okay, so URI.pass with the link https developer.android.com. So then I say start activity, automatically it will open a web browser, which is default web browser you have decided in your application. So Android finds the suitable application to open that intent, and user may see the chooser dialog also sometimes. Okay, so then broadcast intent, so responding to events, which is multiple things which has been or say example, your battery is low, so it's going to be broadcasted to every application in the system. So then based on that, certain application will respond to that and they will do certain action or changes accordingly. So class power receiver, so with extended by or imported by broadcast receiver, right? So you'll have the overriding the function on receive. So context is context and intent is intent. So if intent or action, if it is equal to action power connected, right? So that means if the a charging plug is connected, so then just have a message. Toast is a message maker. So make text with a context power connected. Length can be shown as short. Okay. Then dot show will show this message power connected, right, for a specific second. Okay, so length is short, so that will be very limited. So you can go with length short, length long, or something. So it can show a different amount of time which could be selected for that. So register the receiver, right? So class main activity, so app compared activity. So we'll be creating late int var power receiver with a power receiver. Then function on start, so it will be super.on start, and the receiver is equal to power receiver. So filter is equal to intent filter. What is that? Action power connected. So it's a default intent. Okay. So register this receiver, power receiver dot comma filter. So that means whosoever is intended, so they'll all register to that. So function on stop, that will be super dot on stop, unregister the receiver, power receiver. So identify the intent type one. So value intent is equal to intent of this activity with the profile activity dot class dot java. So that means another activities class name I'm going to specify. Okay, so start activity with the intent. So that will trigger the activity in the same application with a new screen. This is something like you have two screens. Okay, so one is a login screen. You'll have a login screen. You have another screen. Okay, so this is home screen. So you'll have two text fields here. Okay, so now this is something like when you successfully enter the username and the password, Okay, so you have entered the username and password properly, and then you say login. So this will be authenticated. When it is authenticated, so it will open the screen, which is a home screen, right? So this is the explicit intent. So the second type of intent is that, see that you need to open the google.com. So where it will open? Your activity is asking to open a another activity, but that activity cannot be opened through your application. It has to be through other application, right? So I need to specify the link of that where it has to open and through which application. Could be a browser, right? So this will open the google.com. A browser will be open for that. The third type it is action dial. So I'm just giving URI.parse with a telephone number with the specified 10-digit number. I'm going to say start activity. So where it depends on which activity to be used, when and where accordingly. So simple. How an implicit intent is delivered through the system to start another activity. So activity A be given as a start activity. The intent will be triggered and it's going to say the system so that activity is started. So the Android system will intent call the intent and then on create of that activity, activity will be displayed. So sending and receiving the data using the intent. So sender activity can create the intent which will targets the screen, right? So which is said to be an activity here. So put the data into the intent. So with the help of put extra key comma value pair and start the next screen using start activity, which is an so receiver activity is that access the incoming intent. So who's sending that and retrieve the data based on what is message has been transmitted with the help of get extra with a key specified. And use the receiver data to update the logic, right? So or it could be user interface. So where extras are key value pairs and keys must match on both the screens. So send two values, name and age, to the next screen. So what is that? We're going to see create an intent that points to a dial activity. So value intent is equal to intent of this comma dial activity with a class. So that means it says this is the next activity you're supposed to start. Attach simple data as extra. So put extra name of the key value and the new value. Okay, so that you have to adjust. Receiver, so override the function on create so that we'll be having an instance which is saved with a bundle. So on create with a saved instance, so on content view, r.layout.activity underscore team. So at the receiver, so you're going to create the saved instance and the content view will be with a given content. So r.layout.activity main detail. So values using the same key. So name is equal to intent.get extra from the extra name and the extra age, right? So that it will be received. Name text views dot text is equal to name, so which is unknown, and the age text view dot text will be what are this value will be getting, so that you're going to convert that to string. So the reacting to system events when happen. So the concept is that that means when certain things happen, so there is a notification. So Android sends the system events as broadcast intents. So example, device starts charging. Application can listen and react using a broadcast receiver. So two ways to register a broadcast receiver, which could be dynamic or it could be So there are two ways to register the broadcast receiver. One is dynamic and the other one is manifest. So which is a static one. So dynamic is a runtime. So register will be done in the coding part while when the application is running. But whereas we'll be doing that in the other way around using a Android XML, the manifest file. So some examples of the broadcast were like power connected or memory battery low or the memory change or things like we can observe. So manifest file, so where you have dot time zone change receiver, so that will be false. So you can say the Android name is Android.intended.action. So time zone change. Once the change receiver is that which with help of broadcast receiver which has been extended here. So we will be having a function which is overriding that function on receive with the context to contain the same context intent with the intent. If intent dot action is equal to intent dot action time zone. So toast message can be set. So time zone change. Toast dot length will be short. So after that you have to call this show method. So that. So another notify the cart was cleared. Right. So cart refers to a shopping cart inside the application. So item selected by the user. So when the user clears the cart, so multiple parts of the application may need to be react. So right. So when the user clears the cart, so multiple parts of the application may need to be reacted. So cart screen. So view the total price can be verified, badge count, and the summary screen. So this is a custom broadcast used to notify multiple components within the same application so that an event has occurred. Sending the broadcast. So announce that the all the shopping carts was cleared. So value intent is equal to intent of comp dot example dot action card said cleared. So dot apply. Receive the broadcast to this application. So pick a package equal to package name. Listen and react to the activity. So this logic will give you whenever there's a on receive what happens, so that it will take that immediately, which is the example cardage dot sub. This logic, what the code is given here. So function on start, so super dot on start, register the receiver with a com dot example dot action card cleared. Right? So the receiver we don't uh, do much of them and register the receiver with the name of the receiver registered. So intent structures a complete view of that. It answers three partial equations. What is that? The intent can include multiple parts. So some are optional, but some but commonly used together. So the action, what to be done? Describe the operation to perform. So then we're going to use the core for implicit intents. The actions could be action view or action send or action dial. Okay. So value intent is equal to intent of intent dot a dot intent dot action view. Where the data will be on the URL. So that you're going to use URI uniform resource locator or initiator. Okay. So works together with action. So intent is equal to intent of intent dot action view. Data is equal to URI dot pass of Google other developer dot android.com. So then start activity, it will automatically open the browser. It gives all the things which is stored can be replaced. The category extra rule about how it can be handled. We're going to add the additional context for the Android's intent resolution, often added automatically and manually when required. So common categories are intent.category default. So intent the browsable, right? So content which is there or the data format, so which will be using an MIME format here for the type. So we'll always go with text will be plain and image will be with the tag. Okay. So value intent action set. So type will be text or plain. So just a text plain. So extra text with the hello Android. So start activity. So extras, which is additional information, which is the key value pairs here, used to pass small pieces of data between the components. So common in explicit intent and which could be customized broadcast also. So put extra name, comma, Jibin, right? So age will be 21. So receiving could be value name is equal to intent dot get extra string extra name, and value age is equal to intent dot get int extra. So the flags will be control launch behavior. So they instruct the Android how to start the activity or manage backstack. So use in navigation, so notifications and special launch activities also. So intent.flag the activity, so with a new task or a clear on top of that, whatever it is there, so that you can go with multiple. So add flags for the intent.flag activity so with a new task. So components can be used here exactly who should handle the intent where it could be, which will be makes the intent more explicit. Android does not search; it starts the specified component itself. So intent is equal to intent of this from this activity to specify the dial activity and go there and open the class.java. Okay. So far we have seen how to send an intent. So, but there's a real question: how does Android know which app or the screen should handle it? So this is where the filters will come into picture. So what is an intent filter? So the intent filter is a rule declared by an application, which will be saying that I can handle these kinds of intents. Okay, so that it can have a categorization or maybe with a specific criteria, so that they'll be organized in a better way. So an intent filter is, as I said, it is a rule, right? So which is declared by an application. So these kinds of activities I can handle it by myself. So why it is required? So as it said, so do not specify a target activity here. So they'll say to which one it could be suitable. So Android must decide which application on the screen can handle the request, right? So this must also tell the Android what they are capable of handling. And intent filters are how application declare their capabilities. So where intent filters are defined, so the intent filters are written in the manifest file itself. They are not part of the Kotlin code, so that has to be explicitly written inside this manifest. Android reads them before the application runs because they are the bridge to between your operating system and your system. So therefore, that Android manifest file will be read first. So this allows Android to decide which application can respond on intent. So the filter, the intent filter structure is like this. So it's going to be action, category, and the data. So Android matches on incoming intent with the values. It could be action, category, and data. So intent is equal to intent dot action view. So that data will be passed from the given link and then start activity. So we did not mention any application name here to open it, right? So we only said we want to view a web link, right? Android now does decides which application should open it. So how does it Android will take care of deciding which application is? There could be uh, it performs reads the intent, right? So whatever the intent is said, it will first try to understand what it has been said. What are the applications which are there with me right now in my system, so that they can be the formats can be suitable to open that application, and they try to view or match this intent filter so that that could help you out in order to selecting that and finds the suitable application. So which is going to show us a chooser if multiple applications matches. So the Android name, this is how the XML tag you want to specify. So name is Android.intent.action view. So it could be category with the default, and or it could be browsable. Red scheme is HTTP or it could be HTTPS. These filters says the application can open web links. The application supports HTTP and HTTPS URLs.
Papa could.
No, they
Papa ಚಿಕ್ಕಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ತಾಸು ಮುಗಿತಾ
ಎಲ್ಲರೂ
ಚಿಕ್ಕಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು
ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ. ಹಾ, ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಹಾ 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 ಮಾಡ್ತಾವ. ಇಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಬಂದು ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ಅನ್ನೋ. ನಾನು ಬಂದ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಈಗ ಮುಗಿಯುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾ ಸರಿ ಆಯ್ತು. ಸರಿ. ಹಾ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರಿ. ಹಾ ಆ ಕಡೆ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು. ಆಗೋಗಿತ್ತು. Okay, so let me just have one small demonstration on this to showcase the intent, right? Intent and this static and intent filters. Okay, so 1 second.
AI is changing the game for app development. Firebase is here to help. We offer a platform designed to support you throughout.
Hey guys, and welcome back to a new video. In the last video, we talked about the activity stack and how we can navigate between different activities and send data along the way with the help of the intent. In this video, we are going to focus more on the different things that we can create with the intent class. So we have defined the intent as an object that let us communicate between different components within the same application or other applications. It can also use to represent your intention to do or to perform a certain action on the data that you are having. And generally, the intent is made of two types. And so far, we have been using only one type, which is the explicit intent. So explicit intents are used to start a specific activity within the same application or within another application by specifying the package name of the target application. And we have seen how we specified the target activity that we wanted to launch to, like the second activity or the third activity. Unlike the second type of the intent, which is the implicit intent, which is used to request an action from another app or another app component that can handle the request without specifying the target. So you don't specify the target explicitly, but you just let the Android system handle the request and show you or show the user the applications that are suitable for this action or the applications that can handle this action. And in this video, we are going to create a couple of examples on how we can use the intent to do multiple actions within the Android system. So here within our main activity, I have just made some minor modifications for the button. I changed the name of the button with the ID of the button or the text of the button and the ID of the button. And here what I want to create is whenever I click on the button, I want to perform some actions from the intent class. I'll perform those actions with an implicit intent. So here let's add a click listener to our button. Set on click listener, and here we will create an instance of the intent class. Intent is equal to the intent, and here within the constructor you can see the overloads of the constructor. We used the package context class constructor before, where we set the target class or the target component explicitly. Here instead of this, we will use the action constructor, which takes an action that we can specify from the intent class. And here what we want to do is whenever we click on this button, we want to launch a web browser. And we will also specify which URI exactly that we want to browse. So to launch a web browser, you have to add the action view, and then we will pass the URI. And you can do this by referring to the data property from the intent. And here the data property takes a URI within its arguments, so we cannot pass a string directly. What we can do is we can use the URI class and then the parse static function from the class. And within the function here, we can pass our URI. So here I will pass the documentations or developer.android.com URI. And finally, we will just call start activity. Again, pass the intent. And now once we launch the application, the Android system will show us a sheet or a bottom sheet that contains a list of the applications that can handle this action, which is the view action. So let's run to see the result. So here, once we click on the do action, you can see here the list of the desired applications or the applications that can handle this request. And here you'll let the user choose their preferred application. So here, for example, let's just open Edge, for example, or Chrome. And you can see here it opens the link or the URI that we passed to the intent. Now, alternatively, you can add a title to the bottom sheet which contains the applications, so the user can read the title and know what is the next step that they should do. And for this, we'll create a chooser which just represents the bottom sheet, and it comes from the intent class. So the chooser is just a static function that wraps around the actual intent or your intent, and it also returns an intent. So as you can see here, it takes an intent, so we will pass our intent, and for the title we will, for example, pass choose your preferred application. Now, since this create chooser here returns an intent, we will save it within a variable, or store it within a variable called I, and instead of passing our actual intent, we will pass the wrapper intent, which is the I in this case. Now let's run to see the result. Now you can see here, once you click on the do action button, the sheet will appear, and here you can see your title, choose your preferred application. Now the user can choose any application and it will launch the application with the URI given to the intent. Now you can also use the intent to send emails or pass the data of the emails along the way. So here, instead of specifying the action as action view, we will change it to action send to. And once you launch this intent, the Android system will know that you want to send an email, as this action is already registered to send emails or messages. Now next, what we want to do within the data here is that we want to specify the intended email address that we want to send this message to. So here, instead of this, we will first specify that we want to send an email, not a message, with mail to string. Then we will add our email address or the target email address. So say for example test@test.com. Now next we can put some extras, and we have seen the extras in the last video where we can pass extra information to this intent. Now here we'll call the intent dot put extra, and now we need a key and a value. So there are already registered keys within the intent that the Android system uses to know the type of extras exactly that you are passing to the intent, which performs the mail to or the action sent to for emails. So here again, the keys come from the intent class. So here what we want to pass is extra subject to specify the subject. So this is my subject. Next, what we want to specify is the body of the email. So intent.put extra, intent extra text, which just represents the body of our email. Now let's add the text of the body. So this is our body, and finally we'll have the same chooser, or you could simply just pass the intent directly to the start intent. So we will run to see the result. You can see here, if you click on the do action, it will open the email application with the recipient already added to the list, test@test.com, and the subject already specified along with the body as well. Now in this case, the Android system didn't launch the chooser or didn't launch the sheet of the applications because we only have one application, which is the Gmail. But if we have multiple applications that can handle the action sent to, then it will launch the chooser and let the user choose their data here. So instead of mail to, what we want to add is tell and then the number. So for example 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So here for example, let's just see that you get this. What to specify is the type of data that we are sharing, which is in this case
video
a text. So use
understanding the fundamental things about the intent, right? So the intent and thing. The role of the intent filters is that it advertises what your component can handle, and it's going to help you in registration and implicit intent. Checks only during the implicit intents. Lives in the Android manifest.xml file. So explicit intent, so that intent with the particular activity, that is this activity, to the target activity. So target is known here, and the filter is not required to specify that, and or does not searches for that. But whereas implicit filter, so where we require the intent filter, so that intent dot. So when you specify, it's going to give you a set of filters for you, right? So as you have seen in the previous class, the demo, seen send to, dial, right? So kind of those things which are said to be the filters, right? Which has to be specified explicitly, and it is mandate. So intent resolution is the process where Android reads the intent details, so action, data, and the category, checks intent filters for installed applications, finds the matching components, and chooses one component based on that. So launches it accordingly. So app sends an implicit intent, so action view dot apply. So with this particular link, open that. Okay, start activity. So it will open that activity. So it has three components in it: action, data, and the category. So action view, data is HTTP schema where scheme will be used here, and the category will be default, which is automatic. Okay, so this thing which will be there in the manifest file, which is defaultly will be there. We need not to change anything over there. So which automatically takes and perform those things. Intent resolution happens here. So Android now performs intent resolution, correct all matching activities of that, and removes the unmatched category contents and checks priority of and defaults. The outcome is one match activity opens the directory and multiple matches opens with chooser shown. Activity receives the data, so value blog URI. So the URI is equal to intent data. So which when same URI is sent by the caller, so blog URI contains the blog link already, and then uses it in the place where you mention it, whether it is in the mode of web view or it could be text view or anything as such. So it is an Android process of selecting the correct component for an implicit intent using intent filters. So register of intent. So in Android, a component can respond to an intent only if it is registered to receive it. Registration resides when Android can discover the component. So before the application runs, so it will be decided in the manifest file. Once while application is running, so it will be done through the coding. So register of intent so can be done through static or dynamic. So static will be through manifest file and dynamic will be through the register receiver function, right? So we will be register on start and will unregister during the on stop. So filter in manifest it will be static registration. Receiver register receiver on the code will be dynamic registration. So the broadcast receivers, what they are, like it says receivers are Android components that listen for events when an intent happens. Like for example, a power socket connected or a battery down, right? Wi-Fi disconnected, Wi-Fi connected. So kind of those things are all like it all sends the message to every application or every component of the system. And who was registered for them, they will accept them and they do certain action accordingly. Otherwise, some of them will be not registered, so they'll just discard it. These events can be sent by the Android system, sent by an application itself also. When the event occurs, Android calls the receiver automatically. Okay, so say example like a charger connected, so it could be a broadcast or a message received. So how does the broadcast receiver works? Now this will be received, who will be registered for that? Okay, so an event occurs or Android creates an intent for that event, and then intent is broadcasted. So matching broadcast receivers are found for them, and then non-receive is executed when that will be done. So why do we need different broadcast types? So broadcast types are used will be all of them are not of the same type, so they will be performing a different actions or different process altogether. So therefore notify the multiple components about an event. So not all events need to handle in the same way, right? So therefore we require different intents or different broadcast types to be supported for them. So all components should receive the event. The component must process the event in a sequence which is received, because it might be they'll put into a queue and in the order of queue it will be executed. New component should know the least event value. So because of these different needs, Android provides multiple broadcast types. So the broadcasts are normal broadcast, it could be ordered broadcast or sticky broadcast or non-sticky broadcast. So normal broadcast sent to all matching receivers, and delivery order is not guaranteed. So all receivers receive the broadcast independently. Say example, send broadcast intent with from this com.example normal broadcast. So which uses the refresh the UI, sync the data, and notify multiple components. Ordered receivers broadcast. So receivers are triggered one after the other. Priority decides the order. A receiver can stop further propagation. Right. So order broadcast of intent with a com.example.ordered broadcast, and it will be null. So security checks or validation flows, permission sensitives, and sticky broadcast value is stored by the system. So new receivers can access the last sent value. Receiver does not need to register at a send time. So a value intent is equal to intent of com.example.sticky event. So intent or put extra, so level so that it says and send sticky broadcast with the intent. Okay, non-sticky broadcast delivered only to a currently registered receivers only, and it will be stored after the. They will not be kept in the memory, right? So they'll be just discarded. Missed if the receiver is not active during the time. Okay, so button clicks or temporary UI events or one-time application notifications. This registration, static registration, which will be done in the XML for the manifest file, dynamically it will be done during the application. So register receiver, so only while application or screen is running. So this allows applications to react to events sent as an intent. So the behavior depends on how the broadcast is sent and how receiver is registered. Choosing the correct broadcast type and registration method ensures controlled event delivery, efficient resource usage, predictable app behavior, right? All those things. So the intents and broadcast. So the applications are driven by events, not by a single entry point. So intents are the standard mechanism to uh, request actions such as like navigating between the activities or between the applications or triggering system operations or notifying the events. By combining, so the intent filters will be used in order to handle them properly, while intent resolution allows Android to select the appropriate component at runtime. So broadcasts extend this model by enabling event-based communication where multiple components can react to system or application level. So explicit and implicit intents, intent filter and resolution, static and dynamic broadcast registration. So Android applications remain flexible, responsive and modular, which is essential for building real-world and event-driven mobile systems. That's it from my end from today's session. So if there's any questions from anyone, please let me know. I'll answer your questions. I'll try to figure it out there.
Yeah, hi, sir. Good afternoon.
Yes, madam.
Yeah, actually, sir, not about the topic, but I want to ask about the lab. I got to know from my friends like SDPD, like we have to do some lab practices also, but we are not getting any mail.
Yeah. Regarding the see, that has to be done on your standalone systems itself. There'll be no lab support from the, I guess, from the bits. So that has to be done on your standalone system. So that's where I was little think that concerned. So how do we proceed with this? I'll share those lab the components or the assignments as it is said. Okay, so
Okay.
but you have to execute them anyhow on this. If not on the standalone, at least there could be many other platforms which supports them to build your application and run it. Okay, at least
Okay.
if not as a write a code and submit it, so that will be helpful, right? So we do that.
Okay.
I'll discuss
Okay,
that
sir.
in the next session.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir, but after completing of that lab, we need to submit on BITS portal, right?
That I'll give you a complete information. How do we proceed with that?
But usually for other subjects, we are receiving that mail and then we complete the lab and we submit on the BITS portal only,
Okay,
eLearn portal.
okay, yeah. We'll do that. We'll do that. Don't worry. We'll do that. I'll just give you a time on that, and then I'll because still little confusion even I do have on this, and because we have to have one meeting. Based on that, I'll let you know on this. Okay. So once I get the confirmation, possibly we'll do
Yeah,
that.
okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Next session, I'll let you know on this. Okay. Jivet. Anvi, phone ಕೊಡಲಿ ಫೋನ್ ಎತ್ಕೊಂಡು Okay. I think this week the quiz is not. Then next week we'll do that.